All right. Can you hear me now, Kat?
Yes.
Okay. Ah. Okay. And the problem is we're on the clock as well because I've legit got something going on at like 2 hours from when the podcast started. Oh. But yeah, welcome in everyone. I hope everyone's having a very lovely day. Um. Yeah. This is going. I mean that first 12 to 14 minutes is going to be edited out of the YouTube video when I upload it to YouTube. But I hope everyone's having a lovely day. Welcome in, Small. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Griggy. I hope you both are having
Come
wonderful
in, my
days.
love.
And yeah, today, this is the 10th One Stream podcast. Um, Almost like, it's probably like the second most technical difficulties, but that is completely fine because that's why we do these things in advance. But yeah, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And today's guest is, of course, the wonderful Silly Lightning, aka Cat, aka Kit Kat, aka Nine Lives, aka all the cat puns that you can think of. How you doing, Cat? Oh,
It's still very
still,
delayed,
still very
but I'm
delayed.
good.
I'm glad to hear it. Could it be the VPN
I
that's
think
delaying it? Could it be?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I I don't know. Maybe hold on. Let me
We'll see. I mean,
let me
it could still be
refresh
me.
your stream on my end.
Okay.
I think it
Um.
might be fine because you're responding to me in real time now.
Yeah, I'm responding to you in real time, so that's good. And I think, are you responding to me in real time?
Let's see.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think so. I'm putting up my peace sign, see if that goes up.
yeah, your pizza sign did go up at the time of my. Are you listening to me through the Discord or through the Twitch?
Through the Discord.
Okay, so that is weird. That is weird. Um,
I think it's fine. I think it's fine because we're talking to each other in real time, so
yeah,
I think just the video is being odd.
yeah, the
But
video.
otherwise, I'm doing good today. I think the fact that I can hear you now is better than before, because before I
Yeah,
couldn't even hear you.
yeah. Oh my god, I don't know. Like the moment we transitioned, it was just like OBS. What the fuck is going on? I'm blaming OBS for this. Oh, but yeah. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well, Kat. And to any newcomers, welcome in. And to anyone who doesn't know who Kat is, fucking educate yourself, first of all. Second of all, Kat is a variety streamer. Has streamed a variety of games. Even recently has streamed a variety of games. Breath of the Wild. You've been playing some Ooblets as well, I believe. Um,
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Ooblets. I was playing Cult of the Lamb for a little bit. We're moving into October, so I'm gonna be bringing in some like spooky games. So that'll
oh
be
yeah,
fun. I'm excited for that.
yeah.
Definitely, I also want to play some Fall Guys. So that'll be cool too.
Oh yeah. I'm not going to forgive Cult of the Lambs for the moment I joined a cult. It was like, I don't want to be in this cult anymore. And instead of me dying, I just fucking left and I can't join back.
Yeah, no, you literally left like
Like,
within 20 minutes of joining.
oh, the biggest tragedy is I was going out with my friends, Lucas and Adam, and it was like. I'm pretty sure, like, with our friendship, it's always like a last minute message, like maybe an hour in advance, or at least on the day. And it's like, hey, do you want to hang out, Chris? I'm
Mm.
just like, yeah, what time? And then they'll say something like, this time, or they'll be like, now ish. And I'll be like, yeah, just give me a few minutes. I'll let you know when I'm ready. And I told them I was ready. And then you said, okay, here's our next raffle to see who joins the cult. And I was like, I need to go. I need to go. And like, before you go, Chris, how about you join the raffle? And then I joined. I won somehow. I got my
Yeah.
customizability, and I was like, okay, I've really got to go. My friends are legit outside in the car. I hope you have a wonderful stream. And then I go to the next Cult of the Lamb stream, and it's just like, and then
Yeah.
I get tragic news that my character has about as much faith as John Martin, just in general, and I'm like just in general, John Martin doesn't have faith. I know that you don't play Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, so you won't
Nope.
get what
I
I
have
mean.
not played Red Dead Redemption, but it's on my list. It's on my list.
Okay, good, 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 because Red Dead Redemption 2 is my favorite game of all time. Like, I
Really?
really didn't think it was going to happen. Like, I'm like way back when I was like, Jesus Christ, I was 17 when it came out. Bloody hell. And then I played it when I was like 18, 19 years old. Um, and I played the game, and I was like, at that time, I was more of a Call of Duty person. So Black Ops 2 was my favorite game of all
Hmm.
time. And I was like, nothing can beat this. And then I played Red Dead Redemption 2. At first, it was like, yeah, it's not as good. But then you play more of it, and then you understand more of it. And you know, because it's like one of those slow burn stories. It's a very big,
Yeah, it's very RPG, like story-based games, which is what I
yeah,
like. I prefer RPG style story-based games over very
yeah.
repetitive games.
That is true, and one of the very biggest criticisms about the game is the controls, because it's like it takes a lifetime to learn them.
Oh.
Like, because okay, I'm not. This is not spoilers in any way, but in terms of gameplay, you can. So if you press Y or triangle on a controller,
Mhm.
it's to get on your horse. If you were to,
Right.
if you were to do that while holding LT, you're going to choke the nearest NPC.
Oh.
So,
Yikes.
and that happened to me twice on stream. So that was funny, to be fair. That was hilarious. So yeah,
Yeah, knowing how I hold a controller, like sometimes I'll just hold a button that I'm not supposed to be pressing,
yeah, oh,
and I'm pressing another button. So I'm sure
happened
there will be
quite a bit.
plenty of moments where I'm doing that.
Yeah, because it's like muscle memory, and so your muscle memory will say press
Hmm.
this button, even if it's not, a good button to press.
Right.
So that's the one warning that I can give you about Red Dead Redemption 2. Don't hold LT when pressing other buttons. Or L2.
Good to know. I mean, I do have it on PC, so maybe I can just play it
Oh,
on Keeb and all my problems will be solved.
yeah. Or it could be just as bad, who knows? Because it is mouse and keyboard at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Right.
if,
Right.
if you're mouse and keyboard, it's either because you're either going to be really bad at it because you're used to controller, or you're going to be really good at it because you've been using mouse and keyboard your entire
Hmm.
life. Um, and yeah, that's pretty good analogy for mouse and keyboard. Um, face cam. Uh-oh. Come on, internet. Internet. Come on,
Yeah,
frames. There we
I've always flip-flopped.
go. Oh, my frames are dropping then. Sorry, cat. Go on.
I was just saying, like, I'm such like a flip-flopper between PC and console games, so I don't know if it would really be an issue for me. Like,
Yeah,
I play Xbox, I play Switch, I play PlayStation, I play PC, I play all the
yeah.
games.
I think. Uh-oh. What? No. No. Rip. Cat. Are we back in cat? Back in cat.
My Discord. Oh,
Oh, that was you
sorry.
this time. Oh, you know what? I'm tempted to just like actually edit in technical difficulties counter for this podcast. I think that'll be hilarious. Oh, uh-oh. Cat. Cat.
I
Uh,
I think it is just hard because I don't know, it is so bad right now. I don't know
oh.
why. That's okay. First for everything.
But first, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't mind. I feel like it'll actually be hilarious. Sad thing is, a lot of my old recordings for the old podcasts are on my old PC, which means if I wanted to
Hmm.
do a total of technical difficulties for the podcast, I'd have to dig that up. By dig it up, I mean just pick it up because it's legit right here. Oh, but I'd
I
have
mean,
to
you could
like,
always just start from the beginning and be like, yeah, like
yeah,
we've had plenty of deaths before, but here's where we were actually
yeah,
recording the deaths.
yeah. Just put like a sound alert being like, "Ain't that swell?"
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
Because I wanna add a death counter for Breath of the Wild, and I've definitely
Oh,
died like 5 to 10 times
oh yeah.
before I'll even have started the death counter. So,
I legit like for Dark Souls, fucking Dark Souls.
oh
I
yeah.
started with a death counter on that, but then the deaths just went up and up. I was like, you know what, fuck it, no more death counters. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm on.
I think I
Oh.
think I still might be able to squeeze in a death counter for Alien Isolation
Yeah,
because I've
to
only
be
died
fair,
once so far.
technically, haven't you died like twice? Because I'm pretty sure you died to an NPC that wasn't the
Oh,
alien.
maybe.
Uh,
But that'll be easier because it's only been one stream.
yeah,
So I'll actually be able to like count
yeah,
it.
exactly. Small Dark Souls death counter breaks exactly. It just breaks. As is the way for Dark Souls. You just, you think you're going to do well. Then you get to that one boss. For me, it's my current
Oh my god, if
boss.
I had a death up in the thousands,
Oh my god. Yeah, oh yeah, that sounds. What game was that?
I was saying if I had a death counter for
Oh,
Dark
I thought you
Souls.
said you actually had a death counter that went into
No, no, no,
that.
no. Like if I do stream Dark Souls, like I would definitely have a death counter that would probably go into the thousands.
Yeah, that is true. Like when it comes to Dark Souls, I'm probably like in the 300 point at this point. Um,
Mm,
and I am past halfway for the game, so that is promising.
nice.
But this one DLC that I'm doing the DLC right now. I'm on like the third boss of it. First boss and second boss, relatively fine. This third boss, it's killing me. It's actually killing me. Oh,
Oh no.
Mana Scissor.
Are you playing the first Dark Souls or?
Yeah. Well, I'm starting off with the first Dark Souls, and I've got the entire trilogy, so I'm going to go that way. For it, just like to do the entire trilogy. Um, but yeah, like to be fair, like I feel like with Dark Souls, unlike a lot of games, when you die, it's a learning opportunity to
Yeah.
figure out what you did wrong, rather than being like, oh, that's bullshit, and then you restart and basically, have I ever told you the definition of insanity? Sort of like gaming technique.
Yeah, insanity is like doing the same thing over
Yeah,
and over again, expecting different
yeah.
results.
And then you end up actually getting different results, and it's like, what the fuck? Insanity
Yeah,
works.
no, like if you do, yeah, I've definitely been in that moment where I'm like, I know this is the correct pathway to get to this. I'm just bad at doing this like path or doing this like certain string of patterns or whatever. But like I know this is the pattern to get me to where I want to go.
Yeah, I guess DLC is truly the Dark Souls of DLC. Thanks, Small. Why is that so true, though?
Yeah.
I guess Dark Souls 3 is the Dark Souls of Dark Souls. Uh,
Yeah.
that is a funny meme, to be fair, where everyone's just like, oh, it's the Dark Souls of this. Like, it's like video game journalism is just so unoriginal because they just compare everything to
Yeah.
Dark Souls. Oh, but yeah,
Yeah, there's always like one game within each genre that
yeah,
every other game is compared to.
yeah, and
Like
their
in
only argument tends to be, oh, because it's hard, you know,
right,
and it's like, you don't get the fucking point, do you, journalists?
right.
We should
Yeah, I
be video
mean
game journalists.
with Dark Souls is just like the point is to die and learn from your mistakes, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, the entire tagline of the first game is "Prepare to die." Uh,
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's the clues in the name. What do you have like any games that you've played which you would say is the Dark Souls of that genre, like, or that series?
I mean honestly for me right now like I would say um I would consider Breath of the Wild as like a baby's first Souls type game.
Yeah, Oh, actually, because you said that Red Dead Redemption 2 is on your list, I consider it very similar to Red Dead 2 as well in that in its open worldness.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like a combination if you think about it. It's like I've never played Breath of the Wild, but I've seen the gameplay. In terms of open
Mm-hmm.
world, it's like got like a similar like vibe to it between Red Dead 2
Yeah, I would
and
say it's more similar to like Elden Ring style
yeah.
Souls because that's like open world. Um,
I mean,
but I would definitely say like Breath of the Wild.
Technically Dark Souls is also open world. Like, yeah, actually, it's like a interconnected world. So I guess it's open world.
Right.
That's how I
Yeah,
consider it
that's a
anyway.
little different.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, it's
A little
like,
different.
and to be fair, like when you look at the interconnected world of Dark Souls, you see people actually like on YouTube, like you separate the areas, and they're like, this is where X place would be if we were to see it from this place's view, and then and then you just like mirror between the two. It's like it's off by like a country mile because it's not exactly where it's meant to be because of
Hmm.
I guess it's like the software limitations of the time and hardware limitations as well. So like, I think that's a good thing actually. Like with modern day gaming, is that way back when in the old Xbox 360, PS3 days, you were dependent on the disc to do everything. But now with these more modern
Right.
consoles, it's the console itself that's doing everything, and the disc is just holding like basically a zip file, isn't it? It's like a zip file. Um,
Yeah, I don't know much about the details of that, but that
no.
sounds
Yeah,
correct.
it sounds about right. It's basically the zip file equivalent of a video game, and then it's like
Hmm.
it gets extracted into the console. That's how I would view it myself. But yeah, and while we're on the subject of gaming, and you say that Breath of the Wild you say it's very like Elden Ring esque. My question is, how have you been enjoying Breath of the Wild?
I love Breath of the Wild. Um it was definitely one of those games where when I originally picked it up when it first came out, like I did pick it up when it first came out, all those years ago. um
Oh my god!
but it just
Like what
never
year? 2017.
2017.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's 5 years. 5 years ago.
Seems so long ago. It doesn't feel
Oh,
like it.
I was
But
still in
when I first
education.
picked it up, like I love The Legend of Zelda. I love the aesthetic of the lore. And I played a couple Zelda games before. So I was really excited, and then I just the style of the gameplay just wasn't anything that I was used to. I had played Skyrim,
Oh
but
yeah,
I feel like Skyrim was a little easier
dated.
for me to get the
Yeah,
hang of
and
than
also
Breath of the
yeah.
Wild. And I think what really threw me for a loop was the fact that like my weapons would constantly break.
Oh, I hate it when that
And
happens.
yeah, and but now it's kind of like now I'm like whatever, like my weapon broke. Oh well, I guess I'll get a better, cooler weapon. But I didn't understand refined weapons, like what were good weapons. I just didn't really understand that style of gameplay. It didn't make sense to me. So then I just kind of put it down. Um, and I tried picking it up maybe once more. And it wasn't until like I started streaming it that I really started to kind of understand the
Yeah.
game, which is funny.
Yeah, it's weird
So,
because like when you stream games for the first time, it's usually like sometimes you just leave it off and that's it. But when it's the games that you usually would not
mhm.
play by yourself, they tend to be the games that you complete on stream, which is weird
Yeah,
because it's like
yeah,
I love Red Dead Redemption 2, like playing it, but streaming it has been like a like I just feel a bit more hesitant to play through it. And
hmm.
Dark Souls is the complete opposite because the moment I'm not streaming, I'm not playing Dark Souls. I'm legit doing everything on stream. Um,
Yeah, no, that's how I am. That's how I am with Breath of the Wild. Like I don't really play it off stream. It's not really one of those games for me.
yeah. But like, I feel like that's certainly a benefit to streaming in itself. Like, it's just that it's a way of like ticking off your bucket list and having some lovely people to talk to if they come by. Like,
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think that streaming has really helped with how I approach games. Because I've always been interested in video games, and it really wasn't until recently that I was like, yeah, like this is something that like I really want to incorporate into my life more. Um, and I think streaming helped me just because like I have someone hanging out who likes the game just as much as I do, or is just as frustrated with this part as I am, and it's kind of like that sense of empathy, and it like makes me feel
yeah,
better about myself.
yeah, it's like when you like, and the problem is that like, that can be a double-edged sword sometimes because it's like, yeah, on the one hand,
Hmm.
it could be on a tough part, and it's just like, you have people showing that empathy, and you're just like, I know, right? Fuck Manus. But on the other hand, it's just like you have those people come in and outright backseat without reading the rules, and it's like,
Yeah, backseating is a whole nother story. I mean, I think with any game, whether it's new or old or like it just came out yesterday, like there's always going to be one person who feels like they can play the game better than
yeah,
you, which they might, and that's fine, but that's not the point of
yeah,
me playing the game.
exactly. It's like I'm the one
Like
playing the
I'm
game.
playing the game so that I can play the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Like if
I'm
you
not
wanted
meant to
to
be an
go play
analogy.
this game, you're more than welcome to go play the game on your own console.
Yeah, and it's like there will come that point where it's just like you have to be like, shut the fuck up, mate. But like luckily, like I feel like for me personally, I tend to have it so that a lot of people say, would you like? They would ask first, like, do you want some advice on this area? And I'll be like, not yet, but if when I do,
Yes, I love when people ask me
yeah,
first. I love when people are like, "Hey, like I know the answer to this. Would you like some help? Would you like me to help guide you through it?" And I'm like, "Yes. This is literally like I don't want you to just be like, "Oh yeah, take this rock and put it on this spot and then you'll get the the potion or whatever." You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's like,
And I'm like,
yeah.
I didn't need that answer. That wasn't what I'm asking for.
Exactly. It's like, like it did like get to that annoying bit where it's just like, I had quite a bit of backseating actually when I was playing COD Zombies a lot,
I
where it's
believe it.
like, because like when it comes to Call of Duty Zombies, it's like a thing where what works for you works for you, what doesn't work for you doesn't work for you, but there's always that fastest strat that everyone does, where like, especially on the Zombies map Ascension. The fast
Hmm.
strat is to go into the power room, which is a very small, tight room, and you can get caught on certain like obstacles if you're not careful. And especially if you have nothing like any form of defensive perks, which you've got, which I don't know if I don't know how much you know about COD Zombies. Um,
I don't know a lot.
you don't know a lot. Okay, so to put into basics, perks are just basically things on the map in itself, which can benefit the player.
Okay.
So if you don't have the perk where there's one where it's like if you get hit, then every zombie just gets put into a spider web in your area. If you don't have anything like that, you can instantly just die in seconds if you're not careful. And it's like I don't choose that
Dude.
strat. I choose a strat where uh, it's a lot slower, but it's a lot easier.
Hmm.
Where it's like it's fast enough for for you to like get through the rounds quick enough, at least on the low and mid rounds. Excuse me. But like when you get to the late rounds, I'm like on like round 87. It's taking me like 5 hours to get there, and there's always that one person who's just like, "Why aren't you in the power strat?" And I'm like, "Because I'm not comfortable with that strat." And it
Right.
oh, it's just it gets to that annoying point where it's like it's like one of those times where in real life or like when you're like around a bunch of people, like whether it be like in school, in public, and they notice something about you and think of this really cool joke. But the problem is,
Hmm.
everyone said that fucking joke before, so it's like Like, for example, my birth name is Christian. Imagine how many people I've had to put up with saying, Christian, are you a Christian? It's like, no, just fuck off.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's like, come on, dude. Like, I get it. Like,
exactly.
cool. You're so funny. Can
Yeah.
we move on, please?
Okay, that's actually
Yeah.
a good story to bring up. So twice when I was in college, which is not your version of college. In the UK, it's the 2 years before your version of college, where it's basically like
Okay.
years, like if you're 17, 16, 17, 18 years old, that during that time in education, I had to take the bus to a town where the college was. And
Mm.
I had to go through the town to walk there from the bus station. And no joke, twice, probably in the same year, thinking about it. Yeah, it probably was. I got stopped by people who were trying to preach to me about Jesus, which it's fine. It's fine and everything. It's what you believe, and if you feel
Mm-hmm.
like if you want to support people,
Yeah.
I can't fault you on that. But what I can fault you on is when you ask me my name, I say Christian, and you say, "Oh, so it's all it's meant to be," and I'm like, "Fuck off, mate." Like,
Um,
oh, it happened to me twice. Oh, like to be fair, that's a good laugh. In hindsight, it's a good laugh to think that people think that
yeah.
it's like like there's this TV show called Miranda. Uh, like
Okay.
it's no longer on, but it's like there was this uh. It's a comedy show, and at one point, it's like the main character Miranda was going to leave the place, uh, because she was going through I think basically like a rejection or like you know a breakup or something like that, and she bought a load of cats.
Oh no.
As is the standard thing to do when you're breaking up with someone, you just buy cats. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and uh, at one point she was going to the airport and leaving, having the cats being taken care, taking someone else taking care of them, and it's like she was going through airport security, and it's like, all right, let's let the cat out of the bag. Opened the suitcase, there was a literal cat in there, and then legit everyone who walked past was saying, "Someone needs to let the cat out of the bag." And like it's like the funniest comedy sequence where it's just like everyone thinks they are saying, you know, a cool joke, but about five other people said it. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
how many times have you had
Everyone
to?
thinks they're being witty
Yeah.
and different.
Yeah. How many times have you had to like put up with that yourself? What do you say?
Um, geez. I definitely would get a lot of people um in high school who would make like cat jokes to me
Hmm.
because my name is Cat and my name has been Cat for um
I did it
over 10
today.
years. Yeah, and that's fine. And it's just kind of it just kind of came with the territory, but some of it was like some of it I don't mind, and then some of it would end up being a little weird. Like I would have people like meow at me.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's uncomfortable. Like that's just weird.
Yeah,
You
that
don't
that is
I don't know.
that is very uncomfortable. It's like if someone just constantly threw Bibles at me. It's like I fucking get it,
Yeah,
mate.
exactly. And it's like it's just strange and it was just kind of like that was like the only thing where I was like, mm, that's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
otherwise, like I don't really mind all the
Yeah.
silly little nicknames that people come up with because they're just trying to make me laugh at the end of the
Yeah.
day, and that's fine. Like I like laughing. So
I mean, your name is Silly Lightning, so why not?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Exactly. I like being silly, I like having fun, I like
Exactly.
having a good time.
Yeah.
So, but it's like when it becomes weird, like when you're
Yeah.
just being like meow, I'm like,
Uh
okay,
yeah, like
let's take like two steps back
especially
and think about what
considering
you just said.
I think I think your name is spelled with a K as well. Uh
Hmm.
yeah, like I mean at least when I said Kit Kat it made grammatical sense.
Yeah. No,
Uh
I definitely would get Kit Kat. I get Kit Kat all the time. I
oh
got it like literally like past 10 years of my life I've gotten Kit Kat.
Oh,
But I like it. I think it's cute. Honestly, funnily enough, Kit Kats for a really, really long time was my favorite candy.
oh yeah,
Um, partially because I mean it had my name
yeah.
in it, but
That's
also I just
yeah.
really loved it.
That is fair.
So what I would do as a kid would be I would take the Kit Kat bar, like I would snap it, like a normal person does, not just
Yeah,
like biting it off. Snap it,
yeah.
um, and then you would have like the little bar that says Kit Kat. And so I would bite the kit off so that I would just have cat, and then I'd be like, hee hee, that's my name, and then I would eat
Oh,
it.
I love it when you're a child and you have those kind of quirks about you, where it's like you
Yeah.
just one thing that
But
no one else would do, and it just makes you unique.
that's always how I ate a Kit Kat. It was always that
Yeah.
way.
I
Every
mean,
time I had to eat it, I had to eat the kit side first and then the cat side last.
yeah. What happened when they? What about the one where it says hashtag have a break? I think you have that.
Never saw those.
Oh, to be fair, I think you've got because you're in the US.
Mm-hmm.
The US Kit Kats are very different to
Mm-hmm.
the UK ones. Have you tried the UK Kit Kats?
They are different. I've had a UK Kit Kat. It was really
Oh,
yummy.
which one do you prefer?
Oh,
And yes, there is a correct answer.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've only had the British Kit Kat once in my life. So when I think Kit Kats, like I immediately think of the American Kit Kat. Um, so it's honestly hard to say because the the pool of which one I've eaten
Yeah,
is just so out of balance.
yeah.
But I do remember really, really loving the British Kit Kat.
That is the correct answer.
Yay!
Yeah. Even though he didn't say
I remember it
outright.
tasting I remember it tasting more like chocolatey. Like it was
Yeah,
the
it
chocolate taste was
like when you
pure.
get like I always hear that when you have a US Kit Kat, it tastes more like sugar. When you have a UK one, it tastes like
Hmm.
chocolate.
Yeah.
Which is the point of a chocolate bar. But yeah, I
Yeah,
could.
well, I mean it makes sense to me. I mean like the United States when it comes to candy is just so like obsessed with sugar.
Yeah,
Um
I mean,
and I think chocolate imports are a lot farther away because I know at least like I mean we have like Hershey, but
like
I don't
legit.
know.
Like I can
But I
say,
mean,
I've
then you
been
have
to.
like then Europe has like Switzerland, where like the whole country is dedicated to chocolate.
Yeah, like we are dedicated to the chocolate. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm pretty sure Willy Wonka is British, so it makes sense that we are obsessed with chocolate as well.
I think
Um,
he is.
yeah.
I think he
Apart from
is
the one
British.
where he's played by Johnny Depp, where he was for some reason American. Thanks,
Yeah,
thanks, whoever made that version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
that would be Tim Burton.
Oh, thanks, Tim Burton. I mean, I actually like that film, so I can't even say much.
I do like that one. I like Tim Burton stuff. I like
Yeah,
the dark twist that he puts on
yeah,
what could be and yeah what could be wholesome stories, and he just like puts
yeah,
like a dark undertone to it. Or like
yeah,
I watched the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka
yeah,
recently, and how dark it was. Like I remember watching that movie when it came out in the theaters when I was a
yeah,
kid, and watching it recently I was like, oh my god, this movie is so dark. Like how did my parents ever let me watch this?
yeah, yeah.
So
It's fucking great though. It's still great. Like nothing can beat Sir Christopher Lee saying lollipops. Like,
no.
like,
Mm-mm.
I should have that as a sound alert. Just X person, cheers one bit, lollipops.
No, he's so I think that character is so underrated for him. Like everyone thinks of
Yeah,
him
like
as like Count
count.
Dooku
Yeah.
or Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
But he's just I don't know. He's so good.
Yeah. I was actually going to make a joke about you said about how Americans are obsessed with sugar. I was going to make a joke about how I've got a Monster Energy, but then I realised it's zero sugar Monster Energy.
No, I love the zero sugar Monster Energies. Those are the only ones
Delicious.
that I'll drink.
Yeah, legit. I had to like yesterday. I knew for a fact that I was going to be dead if I didn't have energy drinks today.
Yeah.
Because to anyone who doesn't know, as of the day of streaming, I made a big mistake on my part when organising the podcast. Kat knows this because legit, like I asked Kat if she would
Oh,
like to be on my podcast. Kat said yes, and I was like, okay, good, good. I'm gonna go to bed. 2 a.m. And then I was like, shit. And then I legit like scrambled out of bed, looked at turned my PC back on, looked at my Discord, and like, oh, because it just so happens that at the exact same time that this is supposed to be like, well, at supposedly the same time, while we were having the podcast start at 8 p.m. my time, at the same time, we were going to. I was also planning in advance before then to do a tabletop RPG with my friends CK, Kells, and Hydroxide Ant, which luckily they have managed to compromise, and so at 10 p.m. So in about an hour and 17 minutes, I'm going to be able to do that with them. So
Good.
literally, I was having a crisis because I know how hard the podcast can be to organize, and when you have that person who says yes, you have to be like,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah, I mean it's so hard to get internet people together, let alone normal people, let alone
yeah,
people in different time zones. Like you and like you're
exactly.
5 hours ahead of me. Like I still have my whole day ahead of me.
Yeah, like, and so as a result, with that, we got basically about 2 hours of this, and about 3 to 4 hours of tabletop RPG. Excuse me, to go as well. So I legit had to buy a 4 pack of zero sugar Monster Energy yesterday, just so that I could get through the day. And to add to that, I got like
Mm-hmm.
4 hours of sleep. Legit, like last night. So I was like, "Urgh." It was, hell. Podcast both at the same time. Hey, Kat, would you like to be a part of the tabletop RPG Sexy Battle Wizard?
Sure, yeah.
uh,
I'll do some tabletop RPG. I
that,
used to play D&D
yeah,
with some friends, but I had to stop doing that. It just ended up being
yeah,
too much in the week.
yeah. I would,
But
yeah, I would love to do Dungeons and Dragons. I legit bought like over a year ago a bunch of dice for Dungeons and Dragons. And I still haven't
oh my
found.
gosh, I have so much dice. I
Yeah.
have it's not anywhere near me, so I can't find it right now. But I have this big old bag that my friends got for me for my birthday. And I had a bunch of dice before this, but then they got me a big old bag of dice, and it's really
Oh.
cute. It's this little blue like drawstring bag
Mm.
with unicorn cats on it.
Oh. Unicorn cats.
It's
Uh,
very sweet.
I was trying to think of a pun for that, but I don't think there is one. Unicorn
I don't know.
cats. Um,
Yeah, I've
Capricorn.
only
Like, 'cause it sounds like Capricorn, I guess.
it does sound like Capricorn. I don't know.
Unicats.
You've not played a proper D&D campaign.
Neither have I, to be fair. Like I
I don't think
said,
I've ever finished a D&D campaign. I've started like two or three, but I've
yeah,
never finished.
yeah. Oh,
It's hard. It's hard. It's such a big commitment.
mm.
Um,
Especially if it have it like systematically like
Catacorn.
oh Canicorn, that is good.
That's
That is
perfect.
that is
That's
Caticorn.
perfect.
That's the name now, Caticorn. Spelled with a K because Cat invented it. Not me.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah. Oh, I just thought of a fucking duo name for us. Outcats, Chris. For fuck's sake, what is wrong
Oh
with me?
no!
No. Why did I do that to my? Why did my brain do that to me?
Because
Oh,
we're on the topic of puns and
yeah.
cats.
legit. Oh, I made like a really good pun. I think it actually might have been in your chat actually. I can't remember what.
Maybe.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was though. I remember for a fact that we got you to do on your Breath of the Wild, got you basically making you become an A-list celebrity with the click fingers wink finger
Oh
guns.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The sassy finger guns.
yeah. So basically, we are turning Cat into a megastar, guys. I mean, I say turning. We're already halfway there. um,
Oh my god.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, morning connection. 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 It just sounds like you're dying. Like it just hit. Uh. uh. Yeah, Cat is indeed already a star. Thanks, Buttspot. Um, just a moment, guys. There we go. We're back. Uh, are we back? Oh, are we back? Oh, I think we're back. Are we back, Cat?
I think we're back.
We're back. We're
We're
back.
back.
Good.
We're back. We had a little bit of a quack,
Bit of
like
a
Buttspot said.
bit of a quack. Buttspot, stop it. Do bot quack though.
I love Buttspot. I love Buttspot. It is
Yeah,
one of my favorite bots on Twitch.
yeah, because like, and when newcomers come in, they're like very confused, thinking like, what the actual fuck? I'm like, no, don't worry, guys. Buttspot is a bot. It's designed to do that.
Mm.
But apparently butts quack. Do butts quack, guys? That is the question of the day. Do butts quack? Um,
Do butts quack?
yeah.
That is a really good question.
Uh, we- we'll have that as the question of the podcast. Do butts quack? That should absolutely be a thing now. I've just put myself into a corner now with my future podcasts. But yeah, back to the topic of A-list Cat. Yeah, I feel like another question that we should ask is, what was the first game you've ever played in your entire life?
Oh my god, in my entire life?
Yeah, the first one.
Um, oh, I can't. Okay. My first like gaming system that I had was I believe it was the Game Boy Advance.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh. So, right. Ooh. Just remember, guys, Game Boy Advance. That was Cat's first. That was Cat's first console. Uh-oh. Oh, something died.
man on their game of it.
Oh,
Jasmine, Ariel, or
okay. So, I don't know how to break it to you, Cat. After you said Game Boy Advance, your thing froze again. So
oh no,
everything you said you're gonna have to repeat.
no, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, so I had the Game Boy Advance, um, and I had a bunch of old like retro games on it. I had Pac-Man, I had Dig Dug, um, I had this really fun Disney princess game.
Oh yeah.
You
Right.
had to play like different levels. You could play
Yeah.
as Snow White, Jasmine, Ariel, and I think there was maybe one more that you could play as. But I remember that game being really difficult.
Yeah. Oh, I just love it when you're a kid, and you have like you always have those games that are based off of something else you like either a film or a TV show or something like that. And then it just ends up being like it's a game that no one's heard of, but it's that one game that you just always play.
Hmm.
And for me, it is The Incredibles: Rise of the Underminer. Like that game. Like basically, to anyone who's watched Incredibles 2, for me that is not canon. Incredibles 2 is not canon. because Rise of the Underminer
Oh
was such a good game to
God.
me. It was so fun
Fuck
to
yeah.
me.
Uh,
Um, oh, okay, we're back. Good, good. But yeah, like Rise of the Underminer is my version of the Incredible sequel because yeah,
mm,
like I
I
just
want to
put
find out
so much
what
time.
this game is.
Yeah, just put Incredibles Rise of the Underminer. It was released on the original Xbox, the PlayStation 2, and the PC. Um, and I felt one thing that I love about The Incredibles, right, the first film, is that all the soundtracks just sound so familiar to the main theme. That's what I love so much about like the Incredibles when it comes to their soundtracks. And then you look in the soundtrack of Rise of the Underminer, and they've done the same thing. Because for the boss fight music, it's like it sounds exactly like a variation that you would see in the film of the Incredibles theme.
Mm.
Oh, yes, I loved it. But yeah,
Oh my gosh, yeah, so I found it. I found the game.
yeah.
It was literally just called Disney Princess.
Oh, like
Literally just called Disney
just
Princess, and it was for the Game Boy Advance. But it was so fun.
was it specific to any princess or was it to like a
No, you could play as like a few of them. I think you could play as I remember being able to play as Snow White, Ariel,
hmm.
Jasmine. I think you could play as Belle.
It sounds
Um,
like a prelude to Kingdom Hearts if you really think about it. Um,
Honestly, maybe. Honestly, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah,
But it was very fun. Like it was just kind of it was I would say it was kind of like a platformer type game.
yeah,
Like you had to collect coins and you had to battle enemies. But it was so much fun. I really had a blast. And each
yeah,
level was a little different. Like I mean with Ariel, like you could move pretty much all the way around the screen because she's literally underwater. And then similar with Jasmine, because she would be riding on the magic carpet. But then, like, if you were playing as Snow White or Belle, like, you really only had very limited movement.
oh yeah, like as good as like good classic games are, it's like if you think about it, GBA is handheld, right? So that's the handheld console, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it is really limited for what it is. It's like when like Mario Kart, in my personal experience, I got Mario Kart Wii before I got Mario Kart DS. And I constantly hear that Mario
Oh,
Kart
okay.
DS is like the best one. And so when I
I don't
went
think I've ever
back,
played Mario Kart on the DS. I think I've only ever
yeah,
played it on Wii.
yeah, Mario Kart Wii is just fucking great, isn't it? Like I love it. Uh, did you have like I might have got my Discord wrong, but did you in your Discord had like a Mario Kart section at one point? Or
Oh, it might have. I
yeah,
think it did, but it just wasn't.
it wasn't being
It wasn't
used.
being
So
used, so I
yeah,
got rid of it.
that is completely fair. But
Yeah, it might make a return, if people
yeah,
ask for it or if it's something that like we want to do
yeah, I want
um
to like just
on stream together.
once.
Like I definitely want to do more
Yeah,
playing with viewers type games. I think it'd be really fun.
imagine how much chaos you would cause if you got 12 streamers to stream at the same time in one VC, just playing Mario Kart together online. That would be.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
I'm actually trying to get something like that together, actually. So you're invited, there, Cat. So
Okay.
if you ever want to play Mario Kart, uh, like I'll try and get as many people as I can.
I'll
Um,
definitely keep that in mind.
yeah, but yeah, when it came to Mario Kart DS, I already played Mario Kart Wii, and my friend was like, Mario Kart DS is the best one. So basically, I didn't realize this because I was a kid, but I like when you go from one game backwards to the handheld, you don't realize that it has as much limitations until you play it.
Yeah.
So I was like disappointed when I was playing Mario Kart DS because it wasn't
Yeah.
like Mario Kart Wii.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, despite that, it was still like pretty fun.
Yeah,
And
I think if I ever tried to play that Disney Princess game again, I would just be so sad. And I don't think I want to do that. I think I'd rather have it live in my nostalgic memory as like an
yeah,
awesome, really tough game.
yeah.
So,
Like there is a nostalgic game that I always go back to because somehow it's still alive, despite the fact I got close down Toontown.
Oh
So,
my god, Toontown.
oh, like Disney's Toontown was fucking great, but you had to pay a subscription, like a monthly subscription, to get everything
Hmm.
because that was the style at the
Hmm.
time. And then
Yeah.
in
No,
20,
so
oh,
when I was a kid, you were either a Toontown person, or you were a Wizard 101 person.
yeah, I've never heard of Wizard 101.
It was, I think it's in, I think they have European servers, but it was definitely like, it was just a
I'm
really
guessing,
goofy RPG MMO.
yeah,
Um,
I'm guessing it
and
was, I'm guessing it was older than Toontown.
I think they came around the same time.
What year was Wizard 101?
Let me see. So I started playing Wizard 101 when I was like 10.
Hmm.
Toontown. Okay, Wizard 101 I think released a little bit later than Toontown. Toontown released in 2003, and
Yes.
then Wizard 101 released in 2008.
What? Like it can't be that far apart, right? Surely. No,
Yeah.
I deny it. No, you're a liar. No, surely
Yeah.
not.
No, that's what the good old Google says.
Oh,
Quick Google
Google.
search.
Um, yeah, like, but somehow that's like Toontown is still around because it shut down in 2013, the Disney version, and then I think it was the old
Mm.
developers that made Toontown Rewritten, which is still up to date, and it's completely free, so no more monthly subscriptions. You just get everything for
Oh, there
free.
you go. Yeah. See, Wizard 101 is still has never been shut down, at least in the United States. And it's still subscription based. So
Oh.
yeah, but it's okay.
Um, I mean, to be fair, at least it's probably cheaper than, Xbox Live and PlayStation Network.
I don't
Oh,
know. I really don't know. I mean,
hmm. I mean, a
like I
year of that
know.
is 50 quid, isn't it? Like, for those two platforms. So, oh,
I think Wizard 101 is about the same for your
about 50 quid.
subscription.
Fucking hell. Like, Nintendo's evidently winning the price war on that. It's 20 quid a year for Nintendo. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Give more of it to me. Give me more.
Hmm.
Like, it is. I love
Yeah,
it.
no, they definitely like the price. I think that's like the only moment where Nintendo is actually smart about their
Yeah.
game prices, I think.
Yeah. And
I think some of their games don't have to be so many
oh,
dollars.
oh,
I don't think it's really worth $70.
yeah, like $70. Oh, like Last of Us Part One, $70. It drives me up the
Well,
wall.
that's a little so that one's a little different in my opinion. Um, just because it's so like okay, for example, you take the newest Last of Us that just came out, and
Last of Us
then
Two,
you take Splatoon 3.
right?
Both of those games cost the same.
Wait, Splatoon 3 costs 70 quid.
Pretty
$70.
sure.
What
I'm
the
pretty
fuck?
sure 60 or 70.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah,
And
the
then
only defense I could
but like
give.
when you look at that and you look at like the quality of those games and like how much has actually gone into like the game physics and all of that and
Yeah.
like accessibility, like I feel like Last of Us, the
Mm,
fact that it's $70 is not that bad, whereas like Splatoon 3 is just like a silly little shooter
I
game,
think the problem
and
is
it's also
like the
seventy
problem I
dollars.
have is like at least Splatoon 3 is an original game. It's a sequel, but at least it's original. Like for Last of Us 1 being a remake, that's what they branded it as. You expect some differences in the story, wouldn't you? Like some stuff that, would help, tie in Last of Us 1 and 2 together a bit
Not
more.
necessarily.
Like it's not, for me it's not a remake, it's a
Not
remaster of a
necessarily.
remaster. So,
I think I think it's different. I think remake is from what I remember reading about it, and remasters are just kind of like making touches on the original game, um, or on the original like code, whereas like remake is actually like rewriting the entire code of the game.
Yeah, but you'd think they'll just rewrite
So,
they'll actually do some actual rewriting of the game itself with that. Like, yeah, the process may be different,
but
but
I get what you're saying from a marketing standpoint. It definitely sounds like it's going to be a different version of the game.
yeah, because you look at Final
But
Fantasy
if you're
VII
looking at it
remake,
from
like you look at the way that was
yeah,
like,
if you look at Final Fantasy VII, like it's a similar thing. And I think that's also why people have these different expectations is because of Final Fantasy VII Remake was like a completely different game, whereas sometimes remakes in the past weren't always like that, and it was just rewriting the
yeah,
game
and that's the
code in
thing.
code.
That's the thing. Like, I myself have like had like a thought about it with just at least the marketing part of it. It's like you have uh what a remake is versus what a remaster is in my eyes with like how you term it. And it's like I've like once again in Call of Duty Zombies, they had this fifth DLC, which is outside the usual DLC season. Um it was constantly branded
Mm,
as 8 remasters. And of course, like with remasters, you can't just it's not a reskin like, copy and paste stuff. You actually have to make it so that into the looks of everything is redone. The gameplay of it has to be redone to fit that style, and that's what always like how I defined a remaster. It's not changing the
mhm.
storyline in the slightest, but it is changing the gameplay so that it's more suited to the current style, which is how
Yeah,
I, which is why
absolutely.
I branded this Last of Us Part One a remaster rather than a remake because it did nothing to change anything apart from the gameplay and the looks, really. And
Yeah, no, I totally hear you, and I really think it just comes down to like technicalities,
yeah,
um, and marketing strategies. I think that's really it.
yeah, because uh, Dark Souls actually got a bit of, I think it got a bit of flack for its Dark Souls remastered because it was more of a port than a remaster.
Mm,
It's like graphically, it really hasn't changed that much between the two. And all they did in
mm,
the remaster was like add a few more like points where you can rest. And
okay.
that's about it for the
Yeah,
remaster. But even then, at least they didn't tell me, "Hey, cough up $70, bud."
right.
And that's where my biggest problem lies. It's like you can't really brand it as a remake because all you're doing is modernizing the old to become just like the current, and then to
Mhm.
say like it's a remake is one thing, and then to say it's a remake that costs $70. You know, like I hate to break it to people in the sales department, $70 is not that easy to get a hold of for most people. Like that goes towards people's food and energy and stuff like that. And
Yeah, but then I mean you
yeah,
also have to think about it from the business perspective as well. It's like it's the same thing. Like they need the $70 to also pay their people so they can
yeah,
get food
yeah, and
and it's a rough cycle. It really
yeah.
is.
I don't mind that if it was more like an independent like company. But
Oh,
if it's
sure.
a triple A
Yeah. Oh,
company like Naughty
indie
Dog,
developers. Yeah, indie developers, I am happy to be like, yes, take
yeah,
my $50,
yeah.
please, because like you're just maybe, I don't know, one to 50 people working on this game.
Yeah, like you think about Among Us, that's an indie game technically before it became mainstream,
Yeah. Hmm.
and that's only like
So is
4 quid, 5 quid. Even if like you get a bunch of
so is
people.
Stardew.
Yeah,
Stardew Valley was made by one person.
yeah, and then you look at Naughty Dog, which has not one but two cash cows in Last of Us and Uncharted. And then
Yeah.
like I expect like 50 quid, maybe 60 quid for like a pre-order bonus. But 70 quid is where I draw the line where I'm just like, no, no.
Yeah,
And
and all games, I mean it's not even just Naughty Dog, but like Nintendo has increased their
yeah,
games by $10. Like I remember when I bought um the original Pokemon Diamond for the
mm,
DS. that game was like 50, $60. I think it might have been 60 actually.
Yeah.
Um, and the newest one, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, is $10 more,
Mm,
$70.
yeah. And it's like, especially with those games in particular, like Pokemon, Animal Crossing, FIFA, NBA,
Hmm.
they are constant releases with barely any changes. Maybe like it's a little bit updated, and that's about it. And they just charge
Yeah.
full price for what is basically 1% to 10% of the effort that the typical game developer would put in for a new game.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of the things that I find really wild is going back to Pokemon. Pokemon Sword and Shield, is a $60, $70 game. And then if you want to play Dynamax Adventures, that's a $30 DLC. But if you don't have the base game, you have to pay like upwards of $90 to $100 to play
Oh,
Dynamax Adventures,
yeah, I remember
which is
when.
ridiculous. It's
Yeah, I remember like 2015 for Black Ops 3. I keep talking about COD Zombies, but like one of the big things in Call of Duty Zombies is the perk called Juggernog, which is basically
okay.
in terms of appearance, it's like a giant vending machine that sells like what would look like an off-brand Coca-Cola.
Hmm.
And like $400 or like $120, you'd get the game, pre-orders and everything, and a Juggernog themed mini fridge. That is like the most like odd but wonderful thing that you can have, like, to be charged that amount of money. And then you look like now, like you said, $70, uh, like maybe $100 for like a standard pre-order bonus, maybe like with some extra
Hmm.
stuff in game, but legit nothing out of the game. And it's just really odd to see that this is what happened in at most 7 years. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really representative of just the world economy, to be
Mm,
honest.
yeah. And it's like, all right, there's a loud bike going past there. Um, but yeah, it's like it really makes me a bit mind boggled thinking that 10 years ago Black Ops 2 came out, and then like at
Hmm.
some point between that 2012 and 2014, like I looked at my it would be in my local supermarket. That's a 5 minute walk from me, and it would be like £10 for this game, and I'm like, this is a AAA title. This is a AAA
Yeah,
title on what was at the time the most recent console, and £10. I'd pay 20, 25, 30 for it. And you're charging 10?
right.
Full price as well, not discount. Full price, £10. And yeah, like it is a bit sad that we are at the point where we're getting charged 7 times the price for uh games nowadays. But
Hmm.
to be fair, like I think when you also, like you said, you look at it from a business perspective, but you also look from it at a software perspective. Like you see the Xbox Series X and the PS5, and they
Oh
are
yeah.
a lot more powerful than the 360 and PS3 ever were. Yeah, it's just
They're loads powerful. It's like night and day difference.
yeah. I think the only difference is that PS3 doesn't have controller drift. Don't mind me throwing shade.
No, I haven't. I mean, I have a PS5 and I haven't really dealt with controller drift yet.
That's weird.
Knock on wood,
Yeah,
but
there we go. I knocked a lot of times on wood for you. But yeah,
thanks.
I heard like from two fellow streamer friends that they were getting a lot of controller drift with their PS5s. Um, yeah, and it's weird. Like, to be fair, that came out like what, 2020, when they just came out.
Hmm.
And yeah, like I feel like I feel like that's a discussion to have. Do you think, like, I always say yes, but do you personally think that this next generation of consoles has come a bit too soon?
Um,
I'm thinking like not just from an ideas perspective, but also from when they released them and considering what happened. Uh,
yeah, yeah. Yes and no.
Interesting.
Yes, I think it's coming too soon because I mean people are really like people had such trouble getting the PS5 and the Xbox Series when it came out.
Yeah.
Um and now people like it's really starting to become like a household product.
Yeah.
Um and so like in that sense, yes, like I think it's too new for consoles, so more consoles to be like slapped out. Um, but in the sense of like how fast technology and how fast software has moved historically, I think it does make sense that they're putting out new consoles now.
Yeah, I just feel like
Um,
when it came, like, I feel like this year, like right now, at this very moment, it should have been like when they announced the release of the PS5 and Xbox Series X,
mhm.
because not only would you have like that extra year to actually make more of them, but also that's a few extra years for the Xbox One and PS4. And I feel like when it comes to generations, that is like they came out in what 2013, and
I'm not sure.
yeah, like 2013, 2014, and I feel like 8 years, 8 or 9 years is a better like longevity for a generation than like you look at our
Yeah.
generations and when someone's born, you have my generation, Gen Z, you have the generation after me, Generation Alpha, and
Hmm.
considering the amount of years those generation like well, because the amount of years a Gen Z is compared to like how many years the Xbox was, it's a bit of
Right.
a like. Is it like a? I feel like when it came to like longevity and just comparing it to how we term generations, I just feel like it was a bit too soon. Uh, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
I think technology evolution and software evolution is just moving much faster than the consumer can keep up with.
yeah, exactly, and
I
it's
think
like
that's I think that's the issue.
yeah, especially when you consider like before the Series X generation, like they had the Xbox One X, which A
Hmm.
is a very confusing way to distinct the two because the
Oh
Xbox
yeah,
One
the
X,
Xbox naming system for their
uh,
past like 4 or 5, or I guess 3 or 4 consoles has just been like so confusing.
yeah, oh my lord. And to be
Just
fair, like I don't mind it because I'm a gamer, and obviously
mhm.
I'll know the difference. But when I have
Yeah,
to go,
absolutely.
if I would have to go to my dad and say, "Hey, I would I would like this console for Christmas," he's going to have a fucking hard
Right.
time.
Like if you said you wanted the Xbox Series X
Yeah, I'll
for
get a fucking
Christmas
Xbox One
and he was like,
X.
"Oh, okay, yeah, you want the Xbox Series S? Gotcha."
Not just that, but also Xbox One X and as well. The fact that
Yeah.
I'd be having a more powerful, console than the one that I have already, not the next generation. Which is probably why I want to get a PS5 more than anything, just so that the name of it won't confuse my dad or my mum as much. Just so
Yeah,
that,
I would definitely say
uh,
the PS5 is definitely worth it. Definitely.
yeah,
I
and
was super
also,
lucky. I was super lucky to get my PS5. I got mine secondhand from this dad who bought it for his son for
ooh,
Christmas. And the kid decided that he no longer wanted the PS5 and he wanted a gaming computer instead.
I mean, good luck to that kid because it's hard to keep up with gaming PCs.
Yeah,
Like,
I think the kid was young. I think like probably like oldest maybe
yeah,
13, like definitely a young kid.
yeah. Does it run
Um,
Minecraft?
right, literally,
Yeah.
literally.
At least if
And
he
so,
is playing.
but the dad had already bought the PlayStation, and the kid was like, "Actually, Dad, like I want a gaming computer for Christmas. I don't want the PS5 anymore." And the dad was like, "Oh crap! Like I've already bought it." So then he sold it to me. And I think I got a couple games with it too, maybe.
Ooh.
But it was only like maybe a couple $100 over market price, which is really great considering that scalpers
Considering how limited it
would make
is.
it yeah, scalpers made it like a 1,000 and I
Ugh.
got it for maybe like 7 or 800.
Yeah. And on a bit of a tangent, fuck the scalpers. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah,
I
scalpers really suck.
yeah, you're the reason why I can't afford shit.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not just that. It's like I feel like in a sense when there are scalpers, businesses would be like, oh, we can probably like milk out a few extra bucks from these people, and they just put the prices
Yeah,
further up.
scalpers really skew the like supply and demand numbers.
Yeah,
I
like
would I think.
yeah, I failed economics in college, but I still know enough for like demand and supply. I know the diagram. And
Yeah.
yeah, I actually use that diagram.
I'm definitely not an economics expert.
Yeah.
But I can understand it a little bit, like very base level economics.
Yeah, and like Small said, it's not just with consoles, but also with like components of a PC. Yeah, like talking about processors having names that are hard to understand. Oh, this one says 7,000. Isn't that better than the 6,000 in the name? And it's like,
Yeah, small. That's a
yeah,
really good point.
but then it's like also like it's not just the number that you have to think about. It's the model itself. Like imagine an
Hmm.
Intel i3 6000 versus an Intel i7 5000. Like, which one's better? The i7, obviously. But which one are people going to think is better? The i3 6000. Oh,
Right, right.
like it's like it's a giant pain in the hole. Um, well, I guess you live and you learn, and I feel like one thing that gaming in general, people just severely underestimate the knowledge required to be a gamer. Like we are probably
Oh yeah.
I know that you make a joke a lot, being like, "Oh, I share one brain cell with this person," but at the end of the day, I am willing to wager that you are more intelligent than a non-gamer by far because you know your shit when it comes to this stuff. Like it's not just like
I guess. I think I know my shit, but
yeah. I mean, you know more. I mean, you know more of your shit than a non-gamer would because if you think about it,
probably.
when you have to like, I feel like one of the things that being a gamer does more than anything is that it makes you do your research more. Because if you
Yeah, it
don't,
makes
you
you do your
suffer.
research and it forces you to problem solve in a time limit.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And especially when it's like, and if you think about it, like I know nothing about stocks, but it's like I know that mentality that you have to have, where you have to keep on looking at it every day, and then you have to know when is best to buy, when it's
Hmm.
best to sell
Hmm.
your
Oh my
shares.
God, stocks are so confusing. Stocks are a
Yeah.
whole nother ball game.
Yeah, and it's like, but I feel like if you know your stuff in gaming, that would like help you out a bit, like with that stuff, because you have to know when is the best time to buy the game, when is the best time to save up, when do you expect the next console to be released, and
Hmm.
so it's like that's why I'm a bit like concerned with that stuff because it's like, do I get a PS5 only for it to last 3 years until the PS6 comes out? And I'm just thinking to
Yeah.
myself, well, I've got my Nintendo Switch, I've got my Xbox One, I've got a PC, which is not the best, but it's still, for at least the next year or two, I'll be fine with just that. So I could probably just like wait for the PS6 to release and then get charged about $5,000 for it because fucking scalpers. Um,
Yeah, probably, honestly.
but yeah. That being said, what do you say like when it came to like how do you say that like that kind of mentality would apply to streaming? Would you say
What do you mean? What kind of
like the
mentality?
the mentality of predicting when it's best to basically like managing your
Oh,
stuff?
yeah, I mean, I definitely think it can be a prediction game. Um, I know that's how a lot of uh like super big streamers think
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
when you look at like, I mean, he's not on Twitch anymore, but when you look at Ludwig,
Hmm.
he's always kind of figuring out like what's the next big thing going to be, and he's following the trends And
Yeah.
he's really smart. I mean, he was very into video game culture even before he was a streamer. Like
Mm.
he was a um oh my gosh, what's it called? It's not a referee. The
Uh,
ones who talk, the ones who like
announcers, commentators.
commentator.
Hmm.
He was a commentator for I believe Smash Bro tournaments, like
Oh.
a professional Smash Bro tournament. Oh my gosh.
Well, tournament.
Um,
Well,
tournaments, yeah.
I'll say it in my accent
Um,
because I'm British and it's easier to say tournament than tournaments.
tournament. I
Tournament.
agree.
Yeah.
Tournaments.
It's funny how.
But yeah, like he definitely kind of has that mind where he's able to predict and see.
Mm,
And I think a lot of people do try that.
yeah, it is
And it does
very
work.
tough.
It does work sometimes, but I think it's also, at least for small content creators, like it's just I think it's important to kind of just
What you
you
enjoy. Yeah. Like,
do what you enjoy.
yeah.
And because it like I know for me, like I definitely go back and forth. Like I try to be like, oh,
Mm,
okay, like this game has a lot of excitement about it, like let me play it. Like it might bring some more people in, and that's exciting. um but
yeah.
then I'll also look at a game. I'll also look at a game and be like, yeah, like that's not really anything that I'm interested in, even though it has a lot of hype around it. So I'm not gonna play that, and I'm gonna play this other game instead. And
Mm,
I think it's really just about finding balance.
yeah.
So,
Oh, I mean, speaking of balance, like, this is a very off-topic tangent, but Cobra Kai season 5 released. Uh,
okay.
and speaking of lovely people, secondhand TK. Hey there, TK. Hope you're having a lovely day. But yeah, it's like that was another thing that was keeping me awake. Not just Monster Energy, but Monster Energy plus Cobra Kai equals, you know that bit in The Incredibles where Dash just runs like the 100-mile dash, as it's referred to.
Hmm.
Like it gives you that.
Yeah.
It gives you like that feeling because it's like energy drinks. Like sometimes they just give you the jitters.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah. I like Monster, or at least the zero sugar Monster, because like I will get that way, but I don't really feel bad about myself afterwards.
mm, exactly,
But I
exactly.
definitely understand the like the zoomies that you
Yeah,
get.
like it's like you're exactly. You're just like a cat.
Yeah.
Like like having cats is also like a thing where it's just like you need to like predict their next actions as well because it's like, do I go to sleep now or do I wait for Tiger to claw down my door so I have to let her out? Um,
Yep. Yep. I have those same thoughts with my cat.
oh, like yeah, you
Uh,
have two cats, am I right?
yeah, I do.
Yeah. Oh, tell me more about them.
They're sweet, they're funny. They have both very distinct personalities. They're really funny together.
Mm,
I think they match, or I would almost say they're like yin and yang. Like they balance each
mm,
other out.
yeah.
Cleo is very sweet. She's very loving. Um, she loves to cuddle. She just likes to be where the people are. Like she's just a good-hearted cat. Like she just loves to be loved. She loves to be with you.
Mm,
Um, and then Smudge is like a gremlin goblin child. Like he is always looking for a fight. He's always looking to mess with somebody. He is a loving cat. Like I have had very loving
mm.
moments with him. Um, but I would say like 80% of the time he's always just trying to get into some shit.
Oh yeah, like I
Yeah.
just love how very different each cat is. Like you think in general, like when it comes to like animals that aren't human, because you think because
Hmm.
the obviously the evolutionary thing of we're apparently the ultimate, species. We are like the dominant species of Earth. Like you tend to forget that other animals have like personalities that are on our level. in that
Mm-hmm.
sense because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you didn't realize the concept of I mean I'm joking about this, but the concept of sexism also exists in cats because fucking Amber and Tiger, right? Like any male cat that comes around, they just growl. They just pick a fight with them, and then like I'm pretty sure we had this female cat like come around at one point. They just didn't give a fuck. But like we've
Yeah,
got two male
it's
cats.
definitely funny. I mean, with so when Cleo and Smudge first met, she definitely wasn't here with it. Like she's a very territorial cat. She's very
Mm,
like she doesn't really like change.
yeah.
Um, and she was just kind of like, oh, like I don't like this guy. Like he's kind of weird, whatever. But he kept really trying to open her shell
Hmm.
and be her friend.
But you have to
And
do
then
it
I've
on their
had like
terms,
she's
don't
lived
you?
with other cats. She has lived with other cats previously. When I first got her in college, about like maybe half a year after I first had her, one of my roommates was like, "I want to get a cat." So he got a cat. He got a kitten. And that kitten immediately was like, "Oh my gosh, like old adult female cat. This is mom? Mom question mark?"
Oh,
And would follow her around everywhere and really just wouldn't give her the time of day or personal space. And so she hated that cat. She did not
yeah,
like that cat at all. But I think the fact that Smudge is around the same age as Cleo really helped them like grow a friendship
yeah,
because like he would bother her and he would get up in her face, but then he would leave her alone. Like he would know when to stop.
yeah. Oh,
He would know like when enough was enough, and he'd be like, "Okay, like sorry, getting too much for you. I'm gonna go fuck off over here."
yeah. And it's
So,
like you said, like you can just get very different reactions from the cats. Like
mm-hmm,
especially when you first have them, and you have other cats in the
mm-hmm,
area. Like when we first had Amber, our the first three cats that I ever had were Lana, and her kittens, Jaden and Murray. Legit, you, like the differences in their reactions is just very telling, because
mm-hmm.
you have Lana looking at Amber, just not caring, just saying, just being like, you know what, as long as you don't bother me, I'll be fine with
Right,
you. And then
right.
you have Jaden, who is incredibly territorial and was a bit of a jerk. Let's be honest, he was a fucking
Mm-hmm.
jerk, but I loved him all the same. And he was just like when we
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't a jerk, would you love him as much?
probably I just love cats unconditionally. But yeah, he would like scratch at at the cage that we got Amber in, just so that obviously when you I don't know if you had this yourself with your cats, but when you get them, you obviously have the little cage thing that you keep them in to travel. Do you keep them like do you keep the door shut for a short amount of time until like they're ready to go out, or do you just straight up let them out?
Yeah. So normally, so okay, so when I brought Cleo home, I immediately opened the door and I was like, okay, the door's open, you can come out on your own time. And I think that's what I've done with all of my cats, to be honest. Or like whenever I've introduced them to, me, and that's like when I first get them, um, I want to give them the option to
Yeah,
leave if they want to.
yeah, that is fair.
But
Like,
I don't think I would um leave them sitting there with no way to get out.
yeah, that is fair. That is
So,
fair. I think that is what my mum did. I don't know because I was on my way home at the point where she got Amber. But when I got home, it was like I think it's because Amber was out of the cage, but whenever she would go back in the cage to eat or to sleep, we'd just shut the door just
mhm.
so that she wouldn't get bothered. Um, and then I did obviously I said about Jaden's
Like
reaction
I would
being
say
hostile.
I've done that with like rooms. Like I think when I got one of my cats as a kid, we got him when he was like a kitten. So we brought him into the bathroom, and that's where
Mm.
he lived for a while until we felt comfortable with him um exploring the rest of the house.
Yeah, we knew
Um
immediately with
that's
Amber.
just because he was so small. I mean,
Yeah, that's fair. Like we had like Amber was tiny when we had her, and one of the things that I think like if I remember this correctly, is that her favorite spot was behind the TV where all the wires were. And we're like, no, Amber,
mhm,
Amber, because
mhm,
like the biggest problem is that we don't have a lot of different rooms. And two of the rooms, which is the rooms that we kept Amber in, had no door. So the living room and the middle room had no door, which meant that, you know,
oh,
uh, and not even that, like there was no door between the middle room and the kitchen. So I think that's why we were extra cautious with the cage as well, because there was
gotcha.
so many like danger hazards. But yeah,
Yeah, like I definitely think it also depends on the age as well. I
yeah,
mean, I got Cleo as an adult cat. I got
oh
Smudge
yeah,
as an adult cat.
oh yeah,
Um, but when I did get kittens, like I would like especially if they were like really teeny tiny kittens, like I would keep
yeah.
them in like a
Yeah,
rabbit
in like a
cage.
pen or
Um,
like a, yeah, like I said,
mhm,
rabbit cage.
yeah,
Yeah, that is certainly the smart idea for younger cats. And to be fair, yeah, Amber was a kitten when we got her.
yeah. See, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah,
That makes sense.
but yeah, and Maury's reaction, which I haven't brought up yet, he was like the most friendliest. Like Maury by
Oh,
nature is an incredibly friendly cat, especially towards humans. But
okay.
like you just see him like he just goes out one night. You can tell that he just causes fights because he just comes back and he's like at one point he had a fucking tooth missing. I was like, what the hell have you been doing,
Oh
Maury?
my gosh.
Bear in mind he was like 10 years old in human years. So that is
Yeah.
quite a long time to well that is a little under like the traditional lifespan because I'm pretty sure the lifespan is 13 years for a cat. And so yeah, him losing a tooth at like 10, 11, maybe 12, like it just and like I wasn't surprised because he just loved fighting other cats.
Mhm.
But when it came to Amber and then Tiger and all other Amber's other kittens, he was very friendly. He would only ever like growl and like shoo them off whenever he got annoyed, which is weird because
Mhm.
Maury would be the one who does the annoying normally.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a territorial thing, like the fact that they were
Hmm.
in his house already, or that the fact that you brought them
I
in,
think
he was like, okay, this is fine. But
yeah,
then seeing cats like outside of that
yeah.
environment, he didn't like it.
This is my hood. Get out. Yeah,
Right, exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
I like
I think the fact that like they weren't already invited made a bit
yeah.
would make a big difference.
That's probably also why thinking about it. That might also be why Amber and Tiger just don't like the other cats. Like we have like the neighbors, two neighbors' cats. Uh, they are both male, but one of them
Mhm.
is a three-legged ginger cat. Um,
Okay.
and the other one is a bit more recent, like a white cat. It's not. It doesn't look too dissimilar from like Murray. We realised that the neighbour's cat's name is Harry, and he's very sweet. Like he meows a lot. Um,
Mhm.
but then you just look at Tiger, like on the sofa, and she's just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "It's okay, Tiger. It's okay." Like she wouldn't growl until like she actually, starts getting worked up about it. But if you're like there and
Mhm.
you comfort her, she's a bit more fine. Um, at one point, like we were trying to get Harry out of the house because it was like night time and we just wanted to lock everything up. And no joke, I'm pretty sure Tiger outright snorted at Harry, and I was like, "Cats make that noise."
Oh my
But we managed
gosh.
we managed to get
Yeah. Cats can snort. I can confirm Cleo's a snorter.
yeah, but we managed to get Harry out. And the weirdest thing, like Tiger is like I love Tiger to bits, but she is weird in that like it's like we're getting the cat out, close the door. Tiger's just there like I want to go outside. Like we just got him out, Tiger. But and you know you just open the door and it's like yeah I told you so, Tiger. He's there. I told you so. Uh,
Mm,
like cats are wonderful creatures. I think that is the moral of these stories. Cats are just wonderful creatures.
they are wonderful creatures.
Yeah. And I don't get the argument that a lot of people get of like when people say like dogs are better than cats, they say that cats just lack empathy, and it's like
Yeah, and it's no, and it's funny because I really think it all comes down to the human's understanding of consent.
exactly, and also like their understanding of cats in general. It's
Their
like
understanding, yeah, their understanding of cats, their understanding of consent, and their understanding of um like I don't know, I feel like so many people want a dog because they want like something that's
that's neat.
100%
Like
like dedicated to them.
yeah, I'd say dogs are very needy in that aspect, whereas cats are more
Yeah.
independent. Um,
Yeah, I think the fact that dogs are so incredibly reliant on you. I mean, cats can be too, but like dogs definitely more so. I think that's like that is really inviting to some people, and they're like, oh, like
yeah,
yeah, I want something to be like heavily reliant on me.
yeah, and
Um,
whenever you see a dog's emotions, they are much stronger with conveying their emotions than a cat is, unless that emotion is anger,
mhm.
in which case it's even.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
like I think that's the reason why I love cats. They're just more reserved, like
Yeah,
with that stuff.
cats are just reserved creatures. They're not always as open about
Yeah,
how they're feeling. And then they do have like such very strict boundaries for consent and being touched.
yeah,
And
and you also have to gain that trust
um
by yourself as well,
mhm.
because like I'll
Yeah.
say that normally cats probably don't like getting woken up, but because I wake up Tiger whenever I go downstairs just to give her a hug or a kiss, she just purrs. She purrs
Yeah,
because
no, yeah.
yeah,
My cats do the same thing.
yeah,
Um like sometimes when Smudge is asleep and I'll give him a little pet, um he'll like he'll like coo. He'll make like a dove noise, like a dove
mm,
coo, and he'll
hmm
be like, "Oh, oh, hi, mom."
yeah.
And it's really cute.
Is it like a trill? That's a term.
Yes,
Yeah, a
yeah,
trill.
like a
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cat trolls are instant happiness chemicals. All the happiness
Hmm.
chemicals, it's contained in a cat troll. Just saying. um, but yeah, like Amber on the other hand, like Amber used to trill a lot. But now it's like she's also incredibly quiet, apart from when it
Hmm.
comes to me specifically, in that
That's funny.
like she just meows very loudly, and then
Mm.
like sometimes it's like she's outside my door. I let her in, and then like she's purring obviously because she's like seeing me, and like if she wants extra attention. Or like if she wants something, she just meow very loudly in my ear. I'm like, I don't know what you want, Amber. And I just give her more attention because it's like, and maybe slowing down on like me stroking her, and she's like, meow. No, okay, sorry. I'm a
Yeah.
bit busy, Amber, but sure. Oh,
Yeah, Cleo's very funny because she's not very vocal either.
yeah,
Um, and but when she is vocal, it's always very exciting. And you're like, "Oh, like what do you want?" Like you're talking.
yeah. Like I do.
Whereas Smudge screams every 5 seconds.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not.
I mean, Murray used to be very loud as well with his meows. Like he always meowed. And he like I don't know how Murray was so loud as a cat. So he'd meow loudly. He'll purr meow like meowdly. What is going on? Meowdly. Okay, not loudly. Meowdly. He would purr loudly. Um, like he was just like a really loud cat and somehow really friendly as well. Because you think like when you think loud, you think aggressive,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's like I love you, like in a obviously in its own cat's language. But yeah, like I feel like we could definitely like talk for days about our cats as individuals. Like,
Oh
uh,
yeah. Absolutely.
absolutely. We should, you know, what we should dedicate just one stream a week. We just talk about our cats. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Definitely. I
Yeah.
will talk about my cats all day.
Yeah. Oh, like especially like I don't know how many cats have you had during your lifetime?
Oh geez. Let's see. So I have Cleo and Smudge now. Before Smudge, we had Taboo. Um, before Cleo, I had Phoebe, Penny, Mango, Manny. Huh. I think 8 cats. I think I've had 8 cats over the course of
Hmm.
my life.
Now, like this number is a bit tricky. If we're talking strictly cats that have existed that I technically owned, but then the answer would be 10 because um, no, okay, the face cam just went a bit. It went a bit weird then. Um, but yeah, like when it came into oh, I'm getting what? No, I'm going to do. Sorry, I just got a fucking VC call from CTRPG. I had to deny it, decline it even. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay,
I'm
good, good,
listening.
good. I was worried about the Discord, but yeah, technically we've had
No.
10 cats. But like it is a bit of a sad story because when we had Lana, she was pregnant with 4 cats. All of them survived.
Hmm.
Um, but at some point before we managed to get Amber neutered, she just found herself pregnant. Like, gee, thanks, Amber. But that did give us Tiger and 4 other kittens. After the first week, only 2 of the kittens survived because, like when you're underprepared and when like you didn't have like a nearby vet, it's very tough to like take care of newborn kittens especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've never had to deal with newborn kittens.
mm,
My cats uh have always been fixed, or if they
yeah,
did have kittens, it was before I had them.
yeah,
So I usually try to rescue my cats.
yeah. With Lorna, she was a stray, so
Mm.
obviously we couldn't exactly we didn't really have a choice in that matter.
Mm.
And with Amber, we got her because my uncle initially had her, but because they had a puppy as well, and puppies are
Mm.
puppies, and Amber's a very timid
Mm.
cat in the like
Yeah.
so we said yes. Well,
Mm.
by we I said my dad said yes, which is weird because usually you know how those memes where it's like my husband who's not a cat person, and then you just see them
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
that's basically the story of my dad. It's like at
That's fun.
first he was not really a cat person, but then like after the likes of Lana and I guess also Jaden and Murray. Despite their mischief, he just started loving. Like, I don't know if he always loved cats or he just didn't want to take care of them or that stuff. But after taking care of them, he outright said yes to my uncle, uh,
Oh.
and saying, "Yeah, we'll take care of this cat." And to be fair, Amber's a lot more behaved, so
Yeah.
right call there. But yeah, like I said, only 2 managed to survive after the first week of birth. And less than a year later, we had to put one of the kittens down because they got really ill. Like they were getting like fluid build
Oh.
up in their stomach, which just kept
Oh.
building up even after it was getting flushed away.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's always such a hard decision
yeah,
to make. I mean, so
yeah,
before we had Smudge, we had Taboo, and that was he was old. Like he wasn't like he was a kitten, but he was an old cat. And
hmm,
we had to make a similar decision where like one day he was fine, and then the next day he was not doing well at all.
yeah. Oh,
And we had to
that is the
make that
worst.
decision to be like, okay, like is there a way to is there an easy, accessible way for us, to extend his life, or um, is it at the end of the day, will it just be the best decision
Yeah, would it be more
to
humane to
yeah.
put him down? Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And it ended up being the more humane option because the way to extend his life was a 50% chance if it was going to work. So,
Yeah, like once again, like talking about Murray, he like I said, he was always such a friendly cat. And one day he just, he was a lot more ill than we usually see him.
yeah,
Like I feel like in hindsight, it probably would have been a bit more obvious, if if we just remembered stuff a bit better. Because I felt like he was like eating less, but we like attributed that to him, not having a tooth. So we thought it would just be a bit more
yeah. But
difficult
I mean,
and
like, I mean,
yeah,
and stuff like that. I mean, vision is always 2020 in hindsight.
yeah.
Like,
In hindsight, yeah.
it's, yeah,
And like we didn't realize what was going on. So like he was like just laying there on the sofa, and we'd feed him ham because that was the only thing that he would eat, and even then he would only eat
mm-hmm,
them in small bits.
mm,
He was like that for like 2 days, and on day two, like my mum called the vet. When my dad came in
yeah,
from work, they took him, and when they got back, my mum was crying, and I knew what that meant, but it was such a
yeah,
shock at the time. And
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
what we didn't realize, can I stop getting it, guys? I'll be there in a minute. But yeah, what I realized in hindsight is that well, what they told me was that he had a tumor build up in his stomach,
Mm,
which worked up to his chest, and at that point, it was better to put him down right there when he was already there. But like, obviously, like it was devastating when we lost Ghosty because we could see that he was ill for like the last
yeah,
few weeks. But then when we lost Maury, it was a shock.
yeah.
So yeah, it's like losing a pet is always devastating, without a doubt.
Oh
But
yeah.
but you never know which part is going to be the worst part because
Right. Right.
like you just heard those two different stories. One is like you can see it happening,
Yeah.
but he wasn't even
Mhm.
like Ghost wasn't even a year old.
Mhm.
Whereas Maury was, he had a full life, but we didn't
Mhm.
like it wasn't until that day itself that we realized how ill he really was.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
it's always so weird like it either it's just yeah, it's just weird even
yeah.
even with not talking about cats. I mean just like life in general is just weird
Yeah,
that way.
it's yeah, and I feel like what these life experiences certainly show us is that you can't be ready for everything.
No.
So always make the best out of the situation you've got. Um,
100%.
yeah,
100%.
and at the end of the day, Jaden, Murray, Lana, they all had a full life with us. I will never forget. It's like one Christmas Eve where I just have all three of them like just lying on me, like downstairs in the
Oh.
living room. Like I like, which is weird because normally like I would half expect Lana to just slap Jaden in the face, being like, "Fuck off, mate,
Mhm.
keep away." But no, like they were just all there, just lying on me. like I
Yeah, I think with pets it's so important to like I heard this quote said to me a while ago and it was having a pet is just a short blip in your life, like it's not really a very long time in your life, but in their life it is their whole life. Like you
exactly.
are their whole life, you are their
Yeah,
whole life,
yeah.
whereas like they're only a part of your life. So I think like respecting them in that sense and being like, yeah, like I'm gonna take care of you for your whole life.
Yeah, like I feel like that is certainly what makes it better. Is that even if they are there for a blip, like that
Hmm.
blip can be a long blip. Like
That blip meant the world to them.
yeah, exactly, and
So.
it'll probably mean the world to you as well to have gone
Oh
through
yeah,
all that experience as well. And
absolutely.
yeah, I feel like people who've never had pets don't really truly appreciate how healthy it is to have one, even if they are
Hmm.
even if they are assholes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
No,
never.
I would be so sad if I didn't have
Yeah,
my pets.
yeah. It's like um, it's really unbelievable as well. Like how much like
Hmm.
life experience you get just from a pet alone. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like pets are like the gates, the gateway experience to other things in life. So like
Oh, 100%. I think definitely like having a pet is definitely a gateway to understanding how to
yeah,
navigate um human relationships.
exactly. Like it really taught me
Yeah.
the concept of responsibility, if anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like yeah, like you're going to love these things to death, but you also have to actually take care of it.
Yeah.
And like
It's
it
not just a stuffed animal.
exactly. Although stuffed animals would be pretty pog as well. Why did I?
Yeah. I
Why?
love stuffed animals. I mean, you can tell.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Uh, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are Pokemon as well, aren't they? If not all of them.
Yeah, most of them are Pokemon.
Oh.
I got Appa. I have a Squishable.
Oh. Yeah.
I have Gigi from Studio Ghibli back
Yeah.
here. But most of them are Pokemon.
Yeah. I think one of the ones that I see most of, like, whenever I go out, like, and, like, go shopping or something, like, when you get to a shopping center and you just go everywhere.
Yeah.
Basically, uh, the app is also very amazing. Yeah. That is an admirable stack of Pokemon. But yeah, like when it came to stuffed animals, like the one that I see the most was like a cat and a banana. I think they're called banangas.
Yes, yes, I know that one.
Yeah, like and it's like I just saw them. I was like, why is that so genius? Because you think of a stuffed animal, and you don't think of anything other than it exists.
Right.
But you see someone who adds something like, sometimes it's a banana, but if you open the banana, it's a cat. Like, who
Yeah,
who
I love
thought
stuff
of
like
stuffed
that.
animals to be that revolutionary?
Yeah.
Because, like, genius, genius. Oh, but yeah, yeah. I feel like if we're going to have one more conversation, we'll have one more conversation because I am on the clock. And
Okay.
we'll make this conversation about streaming because I feel like
Okay.
it is the Wanted Streaming podcast.
Yeah.
Even though we love our cats, but yeah, I feel like one of the things that we should certainly talk about is how how well you've managed to set in with streaming because like when it comes to streaming, like when you first do it, you're very nervous, aren't you? Like you're just nervous, not just
Yeah.
sometimes like sometimes you're nervous about that people just won't show up and people won't care. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're nervous that they will show up and they talk. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
um. And it's like
It's
you
it's
get over that
funny.
fear though. Like sometimes, like very quickly. Um. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I saw in your bio that you managed to get from starting your first stream to affiliate. I'll be there in a minute, guys. Uh, when you get from starting stream to affiliate, I think it took you what, like a week, couple of weeks, did it?
It took me a few weeks.
Yeah,
So my story with being on Twitch was like I wasn't really present on Twitch until I started streaming. I didn't really I knew maybe one person on
mm,
Twitch. Um, but yeah, I was just like, yeah, like I want to be a part of this. I don't really know how, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna start streaming one day. And that's basically what I did. And I would say I made affiliate within, let's see, I started streaming around the end of January, maybe like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks is
yeah,
when I made affiliate. Which is really, really exciting, and I definitely put a lot of that towards the people that I have in real life.
mm,
Um, were super, super supportive in helping me get there. Then which helped other people on the internet find me, and um, yeah, I mean, it was I really am so thankful for the people that I was friends with in real
yeah.
life who supported me. Um,
I will
and then
say,
now I've been able to really kind of get into other people's streams and really be in their communities and make myself
yeah,
or give myself a presence on Twitch.
yeah.
aside from a streamer,
Yeah,
but
and I would certainly say like that was what I was going to say. Like you are like a fantastic presence in
oh,
you're also a fantastic presence. Your gifts, but you're also a fantastic presence. Like in like other people's communities. Like I see you in Catslock's community.
hmm,
I see you on Ingri's streams whenever I manage to stop
yeah.
by. Like you're very talkative in the chat, and I'm just lurking. Uh,
I no, well, it really just depends. It really just depends. So like with Cats and Griggy, I mean, I it really just depends on who I'm watching. Like
yeah,
I'm definitely a lurker in a lot of people's streams. A lot of people's streams, I am a huge lurker. I'm very shy. But with Cats and Griggy, it's a little different. I know them much better, so
yeah.
I feel more comfortable talking to them.
Yeah, that is
So it's just
definitely
it's different.
yeah, that is definitely like the mentality that I feel like a lot of people have. You have those streamers that you just feel comfortable talking to, that you feel
Hmm.
like you feel like you're a part of the community, so you make yourself more of a part of the community. But yeah,
Absolutely.
then you have those streamers where you really enjoy them, you enjoy the community, but you feel like sometimes you don't have something much to add sometimes, and you just
Yeah.
you give a look.
Hmm.
And it's like I have that with a lot of streamers where it's like I would love to add more, but I can't. I don't have anything to
Yeah.
say that would be of
Yeah.
any use, whether it be comedic or helpful or just an interesting viewpoint, because what I think is what someone else has already said. Um, but then you have like especially I feel like in your community, it's only one of the highlights where I'm like a bit more. I feel like I'm a bit more unique in that aspect. Like I can like make a pun that is like what I still can't remember what pun I made in your stream that is just that glorious that made me feel like
I
yes.
remember. I remember it being funny though.
Yeah, like I'm making you laugh with that pun. Like making you laugh with that pun was just that made me feel good about myself. Having like spreading those positive
Hmm.
vibes to streamers, especially because especially when you're a streamer yourself, and
Hmm.
like how hard it is to be in front of the camera and to try and interact with chat, play the game, anything else. Something doing things that make the stream entertaining for the people who are watching. And then when you have someone make that funny joke and it just makes you feel good about yourself. Like I feel like that is the ultimate win-win situation. Get
Yeah.
like they feel good about themselves because they're making you laugh. You feel good because you're laughing. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No,
just
I've definitely been in communities where I really liked the vibes and I really liked the content and the aesthetic
mm,
or what have you, but I just never really felt a connection. I never really felt like I could bring that kind of thing to the chat, and that's often where I'll be a lurker.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah,
and
it's just it's funny. I mean, I think it's really showing of just how people are. I mean, it's the same thing in real life too.
yeah,
You know, you'll meet somebody that you click with right away, and then you'll meet somebody where you know, you would upon first impression, like you would think you would get along with really well, but then you just don't really have anything to talk about.
yeah. Like I feel like one thing that makes me nervous whenever I do have like a guest on the podcast is that exact thing. It's like, what if there
Yeah,
are
sure.
points? What if there's a point that I just run out of conversation? What if there's a point that we don't get along as much as I thought we would? Um,
Yeah.
Luckily, so far, including today's podcast, I've not run into that problem. Like, I feel like, especially when
Yeah,
it,
I think with the idea of it being a podcast, I mean, you're going to be having a conversation.
yeah,
You just kind of you prepare yourself mentally to be a little more talkative than you normally would.
yeah, exactly. Like, anyone who doesn't know me in real life, unless you're legit my best friend, I'm going to be mostly silent. It's just how I
Yeah.
am, because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm one of those people like, my mentality is, well, I have quite a few toxic mentalities, like, but when it comes to like conversations in themselves, I think that it's not really toxic, but it's more of a standpoint of if I have nothing to add, if I'm not going to say anything meaningful, what am I going to say? And sometimes it's like you want to say something meaningful, but you feel like you're not the right
Hmm.
person to say it sometimes.
Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard say that, which is interesting.
Yeah, and it like I feel like that's certainly like a standard mentality that a lot of people do have. Like
Yeah.
I would love to be the person who says to someone, "You look fantastic, you look amazing," this, that, and the other. But I feel like I mean, I feel like when it comes from me, it does mean something because of how rarely I say it. But also at the
Mm.
same time, it's just I feel like especially because like I'm a guy, and if I say it to a girl, there's always that nervousness of they think I'm coming on to them or I'm like a bit of a creep,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, you kind of, especially with like those kind of compliments, I mean, you just need to read the room and like
Yeah,
get the vibe and then or do do they trust you enough on a friend level to be oh yeah, like thanks friend, for
yeah,
saying that kind thing about me, kind
yeah.
of, you know.
My usual thing
So,
tends to like I try to make it like a genuine compliment mixed with comedy. So I would go like I'll
yeah.
make an over the top metaphor. Like I do a lot with Brits, especially spicy Brits. She is legit a lovely person. Uh, one of the best friends that I've made on Twitch. But I always be like I'd just make jokes about how like she's a deity, and go that over the top with a compliment, so that it's obviously a joke, but it's obvious, but it's also a
Hmm.
very kind joke,
Yeah.
so that everyone has a bit of a good vibe about them. Like they may not
Yeah.
laugh, but they are like they're not feeling uncomfortable about it because it's so over the top that you can't feel uncomfortable. Um,
Hmm. And then I think it's also like another thing like on Twitch, just like chat etiquette. Like if you're like coming into the stream for the first time and you're a first time chatter and you're like, "Oh my God, like you're so hot or you're so
oh
beautiful." It's
yeah.
like, "No, that's really uncomfortable. We've never talked to each other before. We've never like broken that ice."
Yeah, it's especially when
So,
you're like either a first time chat or you're just relatively new. Like
yeah.
there is someone like who very occasionally comes to my stream and be like, "Hello, handsome," and I'm like, "Am I like it's a compliment that I never get because I look like me." But
Mhm.
I do appreciate the compliment just because it's a rarity. But I feel like if it was someone else, who was not me and didn't have my mentality, and did have like the mentality of that's a bit weird because you're relatively new here, then yeah, I
Mhm.
do understand that perspective. Um, but yeah, it's like it's very odd when you see it, especially when you see it, or you see someone who acts a bit off. They don't necessarily give compliments, but they are acting a bit
Yeah.
weird. Like it's
Yeah.
like it's almost as if they want to say something like that, but they're just not. And because
Yeah.
they're
And like
new.
they're like tiptoeing around it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And it's like on the one hand, I get it. Like you do want to give someone a compliment, but you're sometimes not ready for it, or not. You don't.
Yeah.
Like I said, like sometimes you don't feel like you're the person to say it. But on the other hand, like I said, it does give off the impression that maybe like you're not here for the stream itself. You're here
Yeah.
for
Yeah. I think
something
it's also the
else.
way that you phrase it too.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting because I've definitely gone into streams for like the first time and I've said um, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, but it's not really coming to my head. But just like, oh, like I really like your hair, like it's really pretty.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or I
I'm
really,
pretty sure at
yeah.
one point, like you got like someone like making an insult on your hair, but like a joking insult. I'm like, you're new here, mate. Why are you making that joke?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and I'm also just like a sensitive person, and
yeah,
especially like through text, like I can't
mm.
necessarily
You
read
can't.
how
Yeah,
you're saying it to me. So like you really have to be careful with how you phrase things, especially on the internet.
yeah. I
Um,
did have like one recent example of that on my Dark Souls stream last time. Like I
no.
think I had Chloe and Gamma there. They were both wonderful female streamers,
Hmm.
And I know that like the person who said it was actually very harmless about it, but like when you read it, it's something different. Like your mind will instantly go to that cynical place where it's like, are you sure
Hmm.
that? Because they were like, oh, two female streamers, that should be fun. And I think they added a
Yeah.
kappa to it, which for
Mm.
in my tone, it's either sarcasm or
Yeah, when
innuendo.
I see Kappa, I'm always like, oh, they're making like a cheeky
Yeah,
little stab.
yeah, and yeah, I was like, come on, mate, you're better than that. But I'm like, everyone was like, yeah, we know that was a joke, and I was like, to be fair, you can't tell tone, so that is on me for assuming, but also like there is a better way to term it in that sense, or a better way
Yeah.
to type it
And then
down.
it's also like, I mean, if you're gonna make jokes like that, I mean, you really just have, especially if you're new, you have to make sure that you have that kind of rapport already set up. Because some people can definitely take it the wrong way. Like
Yeah,
for example, if Griggy or Small came into my stream and they were like, they're like, oh, like I hate you.
yeah,
I'd be like, oh, haha, like hate you too.
fuck you too. Like you just throw middle fingers at the
Yeah,
camera.
but it's because we already have that
You
kind
have
of
yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
So
Exactly, like especially with me, like I like with my community, there are like once again, like I'll bring Brit up back up as an example where I make the jokes about her being a deity, and then my friend Cookie would come in and be like, "Stop simping, Chris," and I'm like, "All right, fuck you, mate," and then I'll just go off on like a friendly roast, as it were, being like, "You can't even beat
mhm.
me at COD Zombies. What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Um,
You already have that relationship built up that you can kind of like
yeah.
be teasing and mess with them.
Yeah.
So,
And honestly, like
but
I think another thing is like when that person did give that jokey insult to you, I was like I really wanted to type in like a very like defensive thing, being like you just got here, you know, lay it back a bit. But obviously, because I myself was also relatively new, I didn't like I also like felt a bit uncomfortable defending in that regard. Uh, but yeah, like at the end of the day, I feel like you're always going to run into those problems without
oh
a
yeah,
doubt.
absolutely. Then that's just how it is with streaming. I mean, you're always going to run into weird people. You're always going to run into really awesome people, and
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
yeah. Sometimes you
So,
run into a person who's like spamming song lyrics in your chat and you tell them to stop and they just don't.
yeah.
Sometimes you find yourself, where you're in
Hmm.
like where you have someone lovely come by. Uh, sometimes you have, especially like I feel like I think it's your mother who comes into your streams and she is just always really polite to everyone. Like even when it's like
Yeah,
gets
she
into the
is
jokey
funny.
point, like even when it gets to the jokey points, with friends, it's like she's still like
Hmm.
very good spirited about it. Um,
Yeah, she's funny. She really wants to like understand.
yeah.
And it's funny. It's sweet.
It's weird because I've actively hidden my Twitch name from my mother, not because I don't
Oh, it's funny.
not because it's like she's like there's anything wrong. It's just that I prefer
Yeah.
to keep that away from my family, as it were, because I feel like
Yeah,
they
I mean, I think there's definitely boundaries. Like I've definitely had to talk to my family members who
yeah
have come into my stream you know, they'll talk to me or they'll say something that is not necessarily like appropriate to talk about in like a public chat
yeah
room, and I've had to be like, hey, like that's not really like how, you know, you should talk to me here. You could talk to me about that like in private, but that's
yeah
not really something that should be
yeah
out like in public. And just kind of teaching them like the etiquette.
yeah
So I've
uh
definitely had to have those conversations.
yeah
And I mean, it's always in the back of my head, like, you know, like if it gets to the point where they can't learn that etiquette or they can't behave themselves, in my community, then I'm like, hey, like, sorry, like, nothing against you. You're my family, love you, but also, like, you're not really a great part of this community, so I'm just gonna have to ask you to not come around anymore.
yeah. And the way that I think about it in my own, like, because I've never been in this situation before, this is how I assume it to be. When you're introducing like a partner to your parents, and you think you have that worry that they're just going to be like one of those down with the kids parents, when
Mm-hmm.
they're around when trying to meet them, and you worry that they're going to say something like, a bit off,
Yeah.
and then you have to like
Mm-hmm.
talk about it to him, and I feel like it would be
Mm-hmm.
that kind of awkwardness. Although, like, once again, I'm not speaking from experience; I'm speaking from assumption. So,
Yeah,
uh,
no, I think that's a good I think that's a really good analogy. Um, I think that's kind of how I was feeling when that like situation would rise up
yeah,
with my family members.
yeah, that is completely fair. Yeah, but yeah, at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
because like it's weird because I don't want to be like, oh, like you're banned immediately, like no
yeah,
questions asked. I want to explain to them, hey, like what you said wasn't necessarily
necessary.
appropriate to talk about at that
Yeah,
time. And it's kind of hard because normally like with regular people I can just like deal with it right there and then, but because it's my family I have to really like talk to them about it later.
yeah.
It's just awkward.
Exactly. Like it does. Like you do have that like awkward moment with them. Uh,
Hmm.
but I feel like at the end of the day, at least they're still supporting you in that sense. Like
Yeah,
even if
exactly.
they can't physically be there, as long as you got their
Exactly.
support, yeah, I feel like it certainly does help. Like I didn't tell anyone like that I streamed until
Mm.
after I reached my affiliate
Oh,
goal.
got you.
Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, I
like
was very much the opposite. I was like, I'm streaming, come hang.
yeah, for me it was like a case of
No.
like Um, I need to like make sure I can do this by myself before I tell people
Mm.
who will support me through it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I think
yeah,
it's interesting the different journeys that people take.
yeah, and I think that's the reason why I love the podcast so much is that every journey is different, and just hearing people's journeys, like especially that's why I always ask people what the first game they ever played was because you
Mm.
get so many different answers. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, like and it's also very just also very interesting when they have like their own like story about it. Like you talking about Disney princesses, like that, like it. You're not going to get that many people in the world who will say that is their first ever game, if
No.
anyone. And
Yeah.
it's just the beauty of streaming is that this is what community is. You know,
Hmm.
you just talk to each other and you get along. And to be a part of your community from a personal perspective, it's been a real enjoyment, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly, thank you for having me around. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and yeah, another thing that I should thank you for is being on this podcast because that is where we are going to be ending it today.